Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, do you aspire to be an entrepreneur, to build your own business, to leave a legacy behind? If you want to know how to get started, or if you're already on your journey and want some help on how to tackle the challenges you're facing, this show is for you. Here at Be Your Own Boss, we hear from entrepreneurs about their stories, some very practical tips, and some inspiration.
Welcome to another episode of Be Your Own Boss. Our guest this week is Mr. Anantha Krishnan, the founder of Onwards and Upwards, an education company that provides smart and innovative technology based educational products and services to parents, students, and educational institutions. Anantha, thank you so much for taking our time and joining us here on the Be Your Own Boss podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Sachin.
So, Anantha, let's start with your story, your journey, right from your childhood, and so that people get the context of the background that you're coming from, right? So, tell us about your parents and your childhood. How was that? How was the life back then?
Sure. No, it's sometimes always better to go back to your past and go through the journey that you've come through, so that you can reinforce and reinstate the position that you are currently in. So I'm glad that you asked me this question. So to take you back to my childhood days, like any other person, like I was at that time born in a middle class family. So we were just a middle class family. My father was working in a private company, not earning too much. It's okay to hand to mouth, you can say. At the same time, yes, he was trying his best, whatever best possible education he can give. So that was my beginning. But in the earlier stages, as you know, it was a real challenging time. My father had come down from Kerala to Mumbai to settle down, and he was working in a private company. And his manager or boss, as you call, his was a Marwadi Gujarati, was squeezing him to the core, which we could see at home. And then when he brings back his pressures, it is falling on us. Anyway, so that is part of life, as we can see. So what I'm trying to let you know is, from a very elementary age, we could see the pressures and how he could manage pressures from various sides: the family pressure, the financial pressure, the official
Mm.
pressure. So we have been watching him. So fortunately for me, being in my childhood, so I've been through and all through the background of education and all that. So you must
Hmm.
be thinking, why is Anantha saying all this? So just to give you a perspective, so I have born in a very cultured and very educated family, in the sense both my grandfathers were headmasters of schools, and my maternal grandfather was the first headmaster, and he founded the school of a very reputed institution, which is even now very famous in Mumbai, Matunga, South Indian Education Society. He actually started that school with around 15 students, and now I think more than 1500 students are there, and so many people who are passed out has reached very big levels, maybe CEO and CFO and maybe strategy officer inside as well as internationally. And the alumni is just shining. So the values that he has, imbibed on this kind of students is immense. So that is my maternal grandfather. My paternal grandfather also was a headmaster. So he's also, from a very educational background. He's MA in history, and he was holding all these top positions in the state of Kerala. So from Kerala, he came down to Mumbai along with my dad. So my upbringing, if I can say that, who is your mentor during the growing up years, and whom do you look to as an idol? I will
Your
not
father.
hesitate to tell, yeah, it is my grandfather with whom I
Mm.
spent most of the time, the paternal grandfather. So these were the kind of upbringing. And
Mm.
to add to that, in those times, if you recall, Hindi was supposed to be, you know, not touched by any Tamilians. Tamilians used to hate Hindis, and during the time of my bringing up, to your surprise and everybody's surprise, my mother was a Hindi teacher, a South Indian being a Hindi teacher. So you can
Mm.
imagine I am talking about 45, 50 years back story. So that time a South Indian teaching Hindi was at this level. Very, very few people. Even South, in Tamil Nadu and all, people were just against Hindi. So my,
Yeah.
so again, what I'm saying is why I'm saying educated in this family background. Both my grandfathers were headmasters. My mother was a teacher.
So education was in the roots of your, in the family. You were all educators. So this is something that was there in your subconscious mind right from childhood, right?
I would rather correct the word roots. I would say that it is there in the blood. Because one thing which I also want to add, so influenced by this, my sister also became a teacher. So you can imagine, the kind of atmosphere and the kind of discussions that would happen. So anything and everything, no, everybody knew only about academics and education, how this is to be taught, how this situation is to be handled, this child is having this issue, so how this is to be addressed, how can we overcome these challenges. These kind of were the discussions rather than politics or films or movies. So these are all very very remote area for our discussion at that time. So
Yeah.
that is how it is.
So, as a child, you saw this environment at home, and did you, when once you completed your studies, did you also go into the teaching profession, or did you take up another job, another different kind of jobs?
Very good question. So as I told you, my father was hand to mouth. It's not so financially this thing. And being a teacher, my mother being a teacher, my sister being a teacher, professionally it is very good. They are adding value and bringing so much of value to the students and bringing so much of insights. But unfortunately, from those days itself, the teachers were not well paid off. So this is only a profession, noble profession, but unfortunately not recognized. Even though I had that urge to go in because of the surroundings for this education, somehow I felt that I should be financially supporting the family at this point of time and going in for a corporate job, which I have not taken the decision on my own. So we were an open and supportive family. So we discussed how should we bring about it. But that, once you are in this kind of setup, that urge goes into your subconscious mind and stays. Okay, so for the time being, I said, okay, I have to support the family. Then I
Yeah.
ventured out into the corporate sector. So and started
Mm.
working with the corporate sector. But that thing in the subconscious mind was always peeping out and peeping out and saying, Anantha,
Yeah.
when are you looking at me like that?
Yeah. So this urge for teaching was there, education was there in the back end, and the job that you took, what kind of profession was that?
When my parents were working, so when I started the corporate job, I realized that you have to have good education to come up in life, irrespective of not. So while working itself after the office hours, I used to attend classes to upgrade myself and make myself credential for good job and good progress in life to go further in life. And of course, I was always curious to know the latest thing, in what way will it help, what is this. Even now I'm very curious, so I'm very curious to understand what is happening now. So I used to I joined a company called Richardson Hindustan, which was in Thane Belapur Road, which were the maker of the Vicks wafer plant. Okay, so this was in Thane Belapur Road, which is a factory. I joined that factory just because I wanted to understand the costing aspect of it. So I joined the costing department of that in a very costing assistant's role. After the office hours from Thane, that time, you know, as in the current times, just go home and put on your computer and do the online courses. It was not like that. To finish this course, we had to travel long time. So from Thane, I used to travel after the office hours to a place called Grant Road, where the classes were being held. So it used to take me change of trains at minimum of 90 minutes after the office hours, and then go for 2.5 hours lecture, come back home, sleep, and then get up early in the morning and go, because the office timing was 8 o'clock in the factory. It's not like,
Mm.
10 to 5 or something like that. So
Yeah.
I have to catch the bus. If I miss the bus, then they say I have to pay 10 rupees for the auto. That 10 rupees was worth 150 to 200 rupees in the current times. Okay.
Yeah.
So I completed this cost accountancy being there. So then I moved up to various ladders. So that's how I completed, and then I picked up my CMA, completed my certified management accountancy and all that, and then diploma
Mm.
in financial management. Then eventually from factory, they having recognized my potential, they put me into the corporate sector, in the corporate department of finance, where I had to, take care of all the various planting, all the branches accounting and all that. So which I was
Mm.
there. I
Got
hope
it. Got
I'm
it.
answering
So,
your question, right?
yeah, definitely, definitely. So your corporate job was, started as cost accounting and more into finance
Correct.
background here. Now, Anantha, while growing up, when you were in school, later in college, and later when you joined this, the job, the corporate sector, during this time, did you have this aspiration that education was there? Of course, education was a calling that was calling you right from your heart. But other than education, did you have this aspiration, or did you think that you will become an entrepreneur like you've become today, a businessman?
Honestly, no.
Mm.
But I knew I would do something related to education. One thing which happened during my corporate life, they could identify. See, the thing is, most of the people have good knowledge, but there are very few people who can impart the knowledge effectively to others, right? So means if you have to train somebody or to make the other person understand, it requires a different kind of talent and different kind of approach. So during the corporate period itself, they could identify this Anantha is good in that, and most of the training in accounts department or costing department or the processors or anything, they would put Anantha. So Anantha, go and do this training. So which actually gave me a confidence that I am, when a multinational company is recognizing you as such a good trainer, so it reinforces that I have that ability to do that. So which is what was growing in my mind. So if nothing else, I can be a good trainer from, to answer your question, I never
Mm.
thought that I would become an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur has started only in the last 5 to 6 years, I would say. But at that point of time, I didn't think that, but I was sure that I would do something related with imparting knowledge, or giving some lectures or something like that, which was there in my mind.
And so once you were in the corporate field, you were in your corporate job, and you're growing very well in the finance, and the company recognizes you. You're doing a lot of training here. And what happened after that? How did the journey go after your corporate job?
Oh, fantastic! I retired from the corporate job from a very good position. So I was actually in charge of the entire Middle East region. So I was in Dubai for around some time. So I was in charge for the entire Middle East region, which was under me. And had after having hung the boots, again I don't know which word to use. There is one Hindi word called "khida," the education khida, which is there in the subconscious mind. Sorry if
Yes.
it is derogatory, I'm sorry for
Oh,
that.
no, no, it's not. It's
So
perfect. It is the right word, actually. Yeah, the kid,
yeah, so that,
the urge.
yeah, the urge had grown bigger. So the moment I hung the boots, I said, let me relax for 1 or 2 months, and then let me think it over what should be done, how I should strategize, and how. And then I relaxed for 1 or 2 months. But after 1 month itself, I got so bored of relaxing. that I'm a kind who cannot be sitting at home, putting forward messages of WhatsApp, watching OTT or TV, and commenting on TV channel news and all. I said that this will make me sick physically and mentally. So I have to do something which may I have to fulfill that desire which I have been longing in my mind. So I just started exploring. I wanted something better than what is being offered. So I was looking out for something, which will really appeal and add real value to the people. And by the time I retired, which is just for 3, 4 years back, 4 years back when I retired, so many new things and so many technologies have improved and come up in the arena of education, which probably most of the people don't know. So I wanted to
Mm.
pick up certain things like that and put it in my bouquet and say that, and wanted to, people to understand and explore what we missed during our time. At least these people know that these things are there and they can take benefit of it. That was the objective of bringing my company onwards and upwards.
Great. So after retirement, you decided that this is the way you can A, give back to the society and
Right.
B, answer that calling, the urge that you had right from beginning.
Absolutely.
So, and you seem to not just focus on education the in the classical way. You said, let me bring about the technology and connect. You're connecting technology and education here and bringing a bouquet of services and products to educational institutes, right? That your clients are.
Absolutely.
So at this point, I want to touch upon a couple of different aspects here. Let's first talk about the financial aspect here, right? When we start a company, by the way, what year was this when you started Onwards and Upwards?
I think I started in 2018.
2018. Okay. So at when you start a company, you need a bit of a capital and to invest in the infrastructure and things like that.
Yes.
So can you talk us through that process of what was the investment required and how did you manage that? And of course, you have your bulk of savings now for retired, since you're retired. But talk us through that process of the starting of the business, please.
Sure, sure. So since I was retiring, so since I told you I was in all through I've been in multinational companies only, no Indian companies I've worked for. So which means, I mean, they pay you very well. So my savings was quite significant enough to start off a company. So fortunately, I didn't have to really struggle to fund myself or my company. So I, from the savings itself, I was quite confident that I will be able to succeed and make this company. And what I believe is, for any success of any entrepreneurship of any business, if passion is there along with a good product, it will definitely succeed. Is what I believe. So one thing which I had was passion, and I didn't have this so much struggle of funds. Okay, and third thing was I was really looking out for some good products to be in my kitty, in my bouquet of offerings. So these three put together is what I feel that I'm quite successful in whatever I'm doing in onwards and upwards.
Great. And actually, you have already touched upon the second aspect that I wanted to ask, which is the products, right? So the once you decided that this is you want to offer something to, so you decided who your customers are, your the clients will be. Now the products, how did you go about like how did you plan that of what should be in the bouquet of your products and talk us through that process. How did you find those products or those services?
Interesting question, Sachin. Okay, so yes, that was more of a task for me than funding, like for other entrepreneurs. Because I spent more time in researching where which should come into my kitty, which one should I take, and all that. So I did lot of research through the Google. So being having worked in multinational companies, I was also a little bit of tech savvy, not that much as any youngster would be. but quite proficient enough to do all this kind of research and all that. So I did all this kind of research and did this due diligence check with background checking and how long this is there and all that. So this is how I, and more importantly, I also looked at how this is going to be perceived in the future, in the next 4 or 5 years. It's not that I
Mm,
didn't want a product which is currently like hot samosa is for today temporary. Le liya, kha liya, khatam ho gaya. Nahin, something which will be long lasting and which will be there, what people will look for, some kind of things like that. Okay, and
mm.
having done all this picking up, I put them in the book.
It's time for a short break here. We'll continue this conversation right after this break. Stay tuned.
So you were looking for products that are relevant to the education industry, products that have the longevity so that it can sustain the change of time and things like that. And now at this point, can we talk about the products or what are the different things that Onwards and Upwards offer to the different to your clients?
Sure. So there is, that's what I think, this is a good
Mm,
way of making people understand what are things have come and what how the technology is helping. So there is one product called Piaget or Unlock Data Science, which is catering to the age group of 3 to 14 years. So what does it does? So this goes into the mindset of the children from 3 to 14 years through an assessment tool and brings out what are the mental strength, what are the natural abilities of those kind of children. Okay, which so far, see, technology has improved for so many things. We have everything to measure, right? If you want to measure your weight, there is a weighing machine. For everything, there is a machine over there. But unfortunately, in technology, in education, took a slower progress. And this has come now, unlocked data science, which goes into the mindset and brings out what are the mental strength and the natural abilities, and in cognizance with the age and the assessment report, the activities and the worksheets are automatically generated so that the
mm,
students can do all this and sharpen their strength, strengthening the strength and move forward. And we don't stop there. We give a holistic 360 degrees approach in the sense for this student, what are the kind of movies should be recommended, what are the kind of books to be read, what are the kind of games to be played. So it takes a
okay.
full holistic approach, so we should make all the with superior learners. So primarily these are all offline activities for them because online is too much, and it improves the bonding between the parent and the child as well. And we also provide a predictive analysis from a very elementary age so that the progress where the parent is spending 20 years and around 30 lakh rupees behind a child without any uncertainty, with lot of uncertainty in the future, this will give a clear cut picture to the parent and to the child where he or she should focus and progress to shine and sparkle better. So this is one of the offering which is very very fantastic, which has come from a company called Crackslab. 10 years of research has gone into this assessment. So this is one of the tool which is fantastic. Unfortunately, it's not caught up so much in India. It's very recently come in India, but in the coming years, this will be that even the new education policy is emphasizing on cognitive science and psychometric testing. So this base is cognitive science. The second one is Smart School. Smart School is an Indian multinational company, 10-year-old company. Okay, So what Smart School does is it converts the curriculum into animated 3D, 4D videos and real life videos and presents it to the children to make the learning engaging and interesting. So nowadays you have to really push the child for studies. So through this methodology, we are harnessing on the power of visualization. We don't have to really push the children because they're entertainment, games, everything is in digital. We are extending to the academics with an added advantage of harnessing the power of visualization. Anything that the child learns out of the audiovisual method, the retaining and recalling capacity shoots up by 38%. I am not saying that. Anantha is not saying it. To go to the Google and see, it's there. So it's very simple. Like if I give you a Harry Potter book which is so fat, and on the left hand side I give you a Harry Potter DVD, you will definitely remember DVD more than and complete it in 5 hours, not 5 days. So that is
Yeah.
the beauty. Less time, there is more output, concept clarity is there, critical thinking will be allowed. So these are the kind of tools which is there in our onwards and upwards. And of course, for the college students and the teens, we can provide something like career counseling. There is an assessment tool which will tell them where their strength or where they should be focusing and all that. Apart from that, there is a gap which is there in the colleges which we fill with the 21st century skills so that they become future ready and we make them a gladiator when they move from the campus to the corporate with the necessary life skills which are required, real life skills. Like colleges do not actually focus. With due respect to the colleges, they do their job for BE, BCom, or whatever they are doing. Fantastic job they are doing, but there is a gap. So the gap we are trying to fulfill so that when they move from the campus to the corporate, they will shine and sparkle much better. And they are already gladiators, and it could be used for anything and everything. Whether they are going to join family business, whether they are going to do the solopreneurship, whether they are going to do a corporate job. So these are the skills which will be required and will be of much utility. So there are various other products and I can go on and on. So
Mhm.
we say that one window for all educational needs.
One window for all educational needs. And I love the part that from campus to corporate, you're helping them. There is definitely there is a gap, right? The academic education, what we get versus what is required in the corporate world, and you're kind of helping them to bridge that gap. And the earlier products, the product that you mentioned, so you have services and products that are produced by other companies. So you're collaborating with different companies to bring in those products to the clients, right? And here the clients being,
Absolutely. I am collaborating with with those companies and I have not built anything. And to collaborate also we need to do a lot of research because there are so many companies, so many products and all that.
yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
all these products can be used institutions like schools or colleges as well as individuals also can use it at home. If they like this concept and idea, they can use it at home. That's B2B as well as B2C.
B2B and B2C both. Yeah. So how do you market your services and products, and how do you get the clients that you have?
So for basically, as I told you, this is B2B as well as B2C, right? For me, I am trying to improve and add value to the schools and the colleges. So obviously, I will be needing the management of the schools or the colleges or educational institutions anywhere in India or abroad as well. Similarly, parents from age group of 3 to 15 years would be a good. So as you know, there are various methods like one is use your Facebook page, second is use your LinkedIn page, and there are nowadays there are a lot of forums like BNI or so many forums are there where you can go and register and then pitch your product and all that and get connection and people are able to connect you. So I am primarily focused more on getting connected to schools and colleges rather than parents and all that. My focus is very clear. So I focus only on schools and colleges across India. So Z-Learn, which is this Mount Litera group of schools, they have signed for entire group of schools in India 131 schools. They have signed, and yours truly, who is there in front of you, is the one who has negotiated that deal with that for smart schools.
Wow. So this is it's a big reach now, right? Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and this is a very important learning for the listeners, for the audience here who are aspiring entrepreneurs, right? One of the things that entrepreneur as an entrepreneur you need to learn is like how do you go out and get your clients? How do you get the market the products? And so looks like you're very clear. Number one, who your clients are. You have a very clear definition of that, and based on who your clients are, you're reaching out according to that to networking forums and through other advertising platforms or online and offline to reach out to specifically those the target customers. Right?
True.
Got it.
And
Got it.
to add to our conversation,
Hmm.
pandemic was there for 2 years, which was actually added to our business, which was a boon to our kind of business because most of them understood what is online business, what is online and how it is helping. As many times as you want, you can see. There is no time, fixed time. Some students are morning people, some students are night people. So even at 10 o'clock, they can come and see. So this has really boomed during the trend. So not that I am in favor of pandemic, but I'm saying this has helped to make people understand, and come what is
Yeah.
Zoom, what is online. So the benefits of online is really known to many people nowadays.
True, true. But, the pandemic has definitely changed the world in a way that, especially for all the digital and online type of businesses, it has been a game changer, and because it is this I mean, this is just my opinion here. Usually, I don't share my opinion. I ask your opinion, but it just that looks like, this was bound to happen, but it's just that the pandemic accelerated it. We were going digital anyways. It's just that now because of the pandemic, we just made it
Exactly.
really quick. Yeah,
Correct.
what was supposed to happen 10 years later happened immediately that year in
Absurd. I was
2020.
about to say the same thing. You said it. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you set up your company in 2018 and you started, marketing your products, did you have to hire any employees at that time, or were you doing it all on your own?
Initially, I was doing all alone, but being in having worked in the corporates, I had realized that everything cannot be done by one person. You have to believe in delegation. You have to have a clear-cut demarcation of job responsibilities. So eventually, now I'm having currently a team of four, which is more than enough for me for my kind of business. So I had one and then extended to two, and currently I'm having four. And I know each one is for different. One is for digital, one is for having this one-to-ones and meetings and explaining to the principals. And then certain times, certain people want me to go and meet up personally. After the one or two meetings, I go and meet up. So I have four team of four people. Yes, that's a good question. So
Mhm.
this is another point. Like most of the entrepreneurs think that I can do everything alone. I can do my planning, I can do my forecast, I can do my finance, I can do my marketing. It will never succeed. Sorry to say that you will succeed, but it will take a longer time.
It will. And in the beginning, maybe you have to do everything on your own because you're just getting started. But
Exactly.
then, so, and I want to know about that from in your story, like in your case,
Hmm.
at what point did you decide that, okay, this is the time I need the first employee now, let me hire someone?
Very good question. So initially, when I started off this onwards and upwards, I have two daughters. Okay, since I am retired, so you can absolutely guess my age. So my daughters were of good support to me for this thing. And at the same time, when my daughter was giving me good support, and she also has to do her studies and complete her studies, so she had to leave me and go out for her studies to Pune to complete her MBA and all that. So for some time, for 15-30 days, I was struggling actually, honestly, to be this thing, because I was dependent, already used to be dependent for certain things on her, right?
Yeah.
So when she went, After 30 days, I realized that this cannot go on like this. I need somebody, like, I need to replace my daughter with some person with the same caliber, okay, with with good passion and all. That was the time. So it took me around 35 to 50 days to understand after she left, which was after 1.5 months. So it's fine.
Got it. And from the business perspective, at this stage, were you already generating enough revenue to fund the whole thing, or were you still, when you were hiring someone new now, were you paying for that person from your pocket?
Honestly, for the first 15 months, I was funding it from my pocket.
Okay. So it took time for the business to take off. Like all businesses, takes time to. Uh,
I wouldn't say all the businesses. Certain businesses break even at an early time, but
yeah.
yes, for some certain new entrepreneurs, who have come from a corporate, it takes a longer time. Not necessarily because they have come from corporate, but there are certain blocks there in the mind. So which is what I have realized over a period of time. So it's very easy to say, but when you're in actual action, these mental blocks come and really block your progress. So that one needs to. If you are moving from corporate to an entrepreneur, the challenge is different than being an entrepreneur from a very early age or a family business you are carrying over.
Yes, yes, and that's it. It is a very important aspect here. When one transitions from corporate to entrepreneurship, it's a completely different, and this is something that I consciously try to bring on the show, on the Be Your Own Boss podcast. People who have transitioned from the the corporate jobs to entrepreneurship and how that transition has been. And in your case as well, you've seen that. So initially, at the early stages when you just started your company, did you face any such challenges that you are used to working in the corporate environment in a particular way, and in entrepreneurship you have to do everything on your it's a different type of game, right? So how was
No,
your experience?
you yourself answered the question actually. Yes, it was really challenging because in corporate, and I was in a very senior position, so I could just go and say, do this, do that. Why you have not done this? Why? It's very easy to say, but here I have to ask myself. You had to be very, very structured approach was required. When you go to bed on a day, you should know what are the things that you're going to do tomorrow, the whole day, at least tomorrow. Similarly, the next day when you go to bed, you should know what are the things you're going to do the next day after tomorrow. And more importantly, I would say that which most people forget is always have a plan B. Not necessarily this plan A would all the time work. So you would have planned something and then the other person would say, sorry, I cannot, I have some other appointment, I will not be able to do this. So you should be having plan B because at that particular point of time, your time is very important. When you just started your business and entrepreneurship, the timing is very, very crucial and very much valuable. So plan B also exists. So planning, structured working, and plan B. These are the things. Of course, other things, most of the people will say you have to be focused, hardworking, work smartly. All this is taken for granted when you're an entrepreneur.
All these things come, and you brought up the point that you said about having the plan B. This is a very important lesson, and I myself am learning this now, that I did not realize. And I used to have, for example, if there is an interview scheduled, and if that interview is cancelled, I don't have, I usually, as of now, I don't have a plan B for that time. Now I will start planning, having a plan B for that time, and then,
Right.
yeah. So, Anantha, now you've already shared a lot of tips here through this conversation, but I would also like to ask you specifically for the audience, for the listeners, and for the people who are watching this on YouTube, the people who are at that starting point, specifically when they're just about to quit their job and start the business, or they just started their business on the side while still working. What are your top two or three advice for them for the beginners?
Sure, sir. I wouldn't say for any new person who's starting the business. I would say rather for everybody. First thing is to have self confidence. You should have that confidence that whatever I'm doing, I will be able to do it and I will do it. That is the most important. Once you have that, the second thing is passion. You should do what you're strong in. Don't look out for something just because A person is saying or X person is telling you to do this. So whether you have the passion and the strength in what you are trying to do, that you analyze yourself and do something where your strength is. This is very important. So these are the two things. If you have these two things, self-confidence and working on your strength, this will other things will fall in place. I'm sure all of them would be listening to some podcast or watching some YouTube videos. All these things will fall.
Got it, got it. So self-confidence, passion, and play your strengths. Work on your strengths.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Anantha, your life now is, it's you're focusing on your business and your this, but you have seen different kinds of pressure and different pressure situations, and you also mentioned about how your father was handling the pressure and everything, right? What's your way of rejuvenating yourself? What's your way of recharging your battery, like leisures or anything that you do? Um, how do you recharge yourself?
Obviously, you have to take out time for yourself and spend time for yourself every day, as well as you have to regenerate. I love music. I'm a very good singer as well. I love retro music. I listen at least 30 minutes in a day in the morning and 30 minutes in the evening. I'm very fond of Tamil songs, so I listen to them 30 minutes. So it gives me good. Actually, the music is therapy, I would say. And I'm also
Yeah.
fond of traveling, so I travel a lot. So traveling makes you meet lot of different people and lot of beautiful places and nature. So India is full of beautiful, lovely places. So traveling, music. I also occasionally read one book in a month for sure. So that also helps, and I also listen to podcasts and all that. But primarily, movies and music. These are the two things which really charges me up, and I follow them.
Brilliant. And I'm gonna do that as something that has not never been done on this show. I'm gonna make a request to you.
Don't ask me
You
to sing,
said
then you'll get bored.
no, definitely not. Please do, please. So Tamil songs. You said you're fond of Tamil. So can you sing us a line of
I
Tamil
will,
song?
I will
Something
sing a
from.
Hindi song. Probably your podcast will be seen there. मेरे दिल में आज क्या है तू कहे तो मैं बता दूं मेरे दिल में आज क्या है तू कहे तो मैं बता दूं तेरी जुल्फ फिर सजा दूं तेरी मांग फिर सजा दूं मेरे दिल में आज क्या है तू कहे तो मैं बता दूं कोई ढूंढने भी आए तो हमें न ढूंढ पाए तू मुझे कहीं छुपा दे मैं तुझे कहीं छुपा दूं थैंक यू
Wow, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. It's a beautiful song, and you've sung it very well.
थैंक यू
So music, and you also travel. This is a very nice way of your so your that's way your recharge your battery. Great, great, great.
Apart from that, I have a very good support from my family system.
Mhm.
So my wife is very supportive. So I have that, so which also helps to do it.
Yeah, yeah. That kind of actually touches upon the next question that I wanted to ask. It looks
Oh,
like
okay.
somehow you're reading my mind.
Okay, I
So,
have two daughters. One is Abhinaya, who is settled
hmm,
down in US. The other one is Aishwarya, who is also working. She is currently in Bangalore and she is working there. And I have one wife.
okay.
She is yeah. She is as I told so much about education. One thing which I forgot to mention is my wife also was a teacher. Now she has put in her papers and she is at home.
Okay, okay. So education is like totally, it's in the family.
Yes.
So So looking back at your journey like this, when, starting from the days when you were traveling from Thane to Grant Road and then waking up early in the morning, 1.5 hours on after work to travel and go attend a 2.5 hour class, to the position that you are at right now. Um, Looking at this journey here, who would you like to give the credit for your success to?
As I mentioned to you, my I always give the credit to one is to my grandfather, who was a mentor. But after he passed away and then I got married, it's my family's support, which is I give credit. So this is without this two this thing, I don't think I could ever reach this stage.
Yeah. Great, great, great. It has been such a wonderful conversation. Anantha, thank you so much for taking out time and sharing your journey, your story with us. I've learned a lot from this, and I'm sure our audience have learned a lot during this conversation.
Appreciate your time and beautiful technique of asking questions and digging deeper and deeper and digging out the details, Sachin. Very well done. Really appreciate. I also
Thank you
enjoyed
so
the
much.
journey, and you took me back so many years back. And sometimes it is good to flash back and go back to your old memories, and refresh yourself from where you have come and where you are now, which is, I think, is required.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Anantha. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that was Anantha Krishnan, the founder of Onwards and Upwards, and you've been watching and listening to Be Your Own Boss.